big takedown. Thanks. All right, good afternoon, everyone. This meeting of the Public Safety Committee is now called to order. Today is Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. Time is approximately 3:30 p.m. Can we please call the roll?
Councilmember Lee,
Present?
Councilmember Price absent, Councilmember McCosker. Councilmember Soto Martinez absent, Councilmember Park. Present. 3 members present and a quorum, Mr. Chair.
All right, like I said, welcome to the Public Safety Committee. We will begin with public comment. Those wishing to speak can come to the podium. When Josh calls your name, you'll have 1 minute for general public comment and 1 minute for each item on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes. Can you please call the first name?
Yeah, first speaker signed up with a card under DA Nathan Hochman. You signed up for all items, so you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, all motherfucking items. Now that we got the fucking simplified faggot walk in, Mr. Soto. Regarding the Physical 23 State Homeland Security Program, on behalf of Donald J. Trump, fuck your sanctuary cities, fuck you, Soto, and fuck all you illegal immigrants. Go back, wetbacks. Then we got the body-worn camera. What's the fucking purpose of having a camera if it's not worn appropriately, Ms. Beach? I'm talking about Ms. Beach's real name and not the fake Park name. Park that in your RV, Miss Park. Yeah, I'm on number 4 now, asshole. Shut up. Bloomfield and Stafford B for bitch implementing his fucking pilot program regarding fire risk mitigation for hillside areas such as the dumb fucking fire that burned Palisades and burned Eaton. Fuck the worst black mayor ever in the history has never gotten it right. You can't have a reservoir with no water, you dumb cunt. And you cannot and should not and will not ever be able to stop a fire as significant and as outrageous as that one. And I'm glad to hear finally the chief is and going to sue the city, sue the mayor for that interruption by you, the knuckleheads of this so-called public safety committee. Then in addition to that, there are only, 29, 18, 26. Now into my public comment. All right. Nathan Hochman this afternoon said to me on the record, he does not understand why there is so much fucking crime in Los Angeles. Well, the fucking answer is open your eyes, white boy. The problem is you got too much eating smoke and you got that fucking McCosker smile smoke up your ass, and that's the reason why you can't see. You smell the same shit Timmy smells with Soto. You don't understand. When you vote for Donald J. Trump, you're voting for facts. You're getting statements done. You're doing what's right in America that save America from this unconstitutional, violent fucking city called Los Angeles, 42 U.S.C. 1983. Politely, fuck you.
Thank you for that enlightening public comment. Next speaker is Andrew Gravener.
All right, all items and general public.
3 minutes.
Okay, so let's start off. We have some police permit fees, police commission service fees. You know, maybe instead of charging these exorbitant fees for stuff, you should stop making all these permitting requirements. You should stop charging the press who have the right to cover protests, whether they have a pass or not. And of course, they get brutalized in violation of the temporary restraining order. But they can't even afford the press passes. They're so damn expensive, especially for independent journalists who have to spend exorbitant amounts. And you're raising the price, over doubling the price of a press pass. And of course, they all get assaulted. Even when they have the press passes, this LAPD still violates the temporary restraining order and attacks them anyway. Okay, so now let's move on. We have these interim housing funds from LAPD. Why are they with the LAPD in the first place? The LAPD should free the housing funds. They should not be with the police. We have... I didn't use that word.
This is your only warning. Any variation is described in Council Rule 7 may not be used again in the city council meeting, any future council meeting, or any future committee meeting. If you violate Rule 7 again by using the C word, you will forfeit your speaking time and could be subject to removal pursuant to Council Rules 7 and 12. Please resume the timer.
Use that word, but okay. Whatever. We have item 8, which is related to co-pilot licenses for AI for the police, no on AI to the cops. We have item 10, which is automated license plate readers for the LAPD. These are the license plate readers that send data to ICE. No on that. No. No sending data to ICE. That's what these license plate readers do, among other agencies. So reject these license plate readers. Okay, we have stuff with body-worn cameras, which are just used for
Move
surveillance
on to public comment.
and not for holding cops accountable. So, let's see. Let's move on. I guess we have general comment. So, this city, this LAPD, keeps lying and claiming that they're not assisting ICE when they're repeatedly assisting ICE. And you all know that and won't do a damn thing about it. So, when are you going to hold them accountable? The chief needs to be fired for continuously lying and assisting them. He shouldn't have been hired in the first place because you knew that was what he was going to do. And of course, you've got a police department that would be excited if Trump did what he's doing in DC to LA. So you should defund them before Trump does that. And your staffer B, would you admit that already?
Next speaker, Audit LA. You'll have 3 minutes, 2 for the items and 1 for general comment.
Good afternoon. I want to stand here and say that it's about time you guys are helping rebuild the LAFD fire stations. How did we get to the part where they're dilapidated? I mean, these are our heroes. You know what I mean? Like, it's disturbing and disgusting. You should all be ashamed of yourselves, but at least you're trying to make it right. But you got to do better, okay, Mr. Lee? And then I want to talk about, and it's not throwing shade on LAPD, especially the fine officers that work here. I always appreciate them highly. And thank you, Mr. McCusker, for always listening. I mean, most times, 99% of the time. But when it comes to the license plate readers, okay, I want to know why the Church of Scientology has license plate readers around every single building that they own, numerous ones. And they have a massive amount of surveillance completely. Even in their trees, they will have microphones and cameras. It's like George Orwell's 1984 all over East Hollywood, North Hollywood, wherever you find any of their buildings. And I know that you guys created the law where LAPD can hook up into that. So if they can, and they own property everywhere, so why do we need more license plate readers? And why do they need license plate readers? So I'm just throwing that there, food for thought. And also when it comes to body-worn camera, I am 100% an advocate for a body-worn camera. It protects the officers, it protects the public, and the only thing I want to make sure, though, is that there's no way to ever find anything or see what's available. Like there's no CPRAing of it. And then you guys, and then sometimes things are not turned on or it can be deleted. I just want to have stricter accountability and transparency. And because that's what it should all be about. And I'm not throwing, Chief Graham, former Captain Graham, I always had a lot of respect for him. And so this is not against LAPD. But, okay, public comment. Laura Anderson is somebody who grew up in Scientology, and she's come here numerous times begging for help. And LAPD is finally, thankfully, connecting her to proper people that can understand that victims are afraid to come because they're told their whole lives they're not allowed to go to the police. They have a relationship with the police, as an organization, but they're people, no matter what crimes happen to you, you're not allowed to go to any government official. And you guys they are finally listening. But I want you to be mindful, and I'm going to keep coming here until you guys really get the message, Mr. Martinez, because I don't think you're really getting it enough. You guys don't understand what is really going on. Like I was kicked out of the National Night Out, and that's a national program. I can't go, because of what? So do better, please.
Thank you. Next speaker is Shrimp. Graciano. Two minutes for the items, 1 minute for general comment.
Thank you very much. My name is Graciano. So start with item number 10. Item number 10 is about the license plate reading camera program. I'm here for this to support this item because I'm a good friend of our Sergeant Duarte. Many times I asked Sergeant Duarte, I said, hey, why we can never catch those criminals? Why that all of those hit and run drivers, they're just gone in 60 seconds? Why we can never catch them? Sergeant Duarte will always tell me that it's because we have so little camera in the city, we have so little license plate reader in the city that's the reason why the same criminal will run away, walk away, drive away over and over again. So I wish that any council member who have a little bit human decency, have a little bit of basic common sense, we're gonna start this program, we're gonna expand this program, so in the future, those criminals have nowhere to go. Now let's move on to item number 24. Item number 24 is about the 911 response time. Yes, I'm here to support this item. I'm supporting this study because right now, LAPD 911 is in a huge crisis. I understand that our council member, Mike Coxcar, is continuing to laughing at me on a daily basis, but no matter how hard he is laughing at me, I am experiencing that so many people, when they are calling 911, they are on hold for 10 minutes, they are on hold for 5 minutes, or whatever. City of Arcadia chief said their average response time 911 less than 3 minutes. City of Glendale chief said their 911 emergency response time less than 3 minutes. But the chief of, I believe is Dominic Choi, he said in the city of Los Angeles, the average 911 response time is 8 minutes. How is that even possible? 1 minute is way too long when your life is on the line. 1 second is way too long when your life is on the line. When someone pointing a gun on your head, 5 seconds is just too long to wait. We have to make sure that we're gonna have a LAPD 911 response program that is the same 3 minutes policy compared to Glendale, compared to Alhambra, compared to Arcadia, with all of our neighboring cities. So I'm really wish that we're gonna continue to improve. And at the same time, I just want to give a commendation to our amazing Sergeant Duarte, because my friend Jason Reedy the other night, and he has a car accident. His tire just blow out in the middle of the Figueroa Street. And then Jason Reedy has nobody to call. And then Jason Reedy was able to call Sergeant Duarte. And the Sergeant Duarte wake up in the middle of the night. Sergeant Duarte wake up in the middle of the 3 a.m. in the morning, immediately drive down Figueroa and change the tire for Jason Reedy, so Jason Reedy can drive home safely, peacefully. Thank you very much for your community services oriented policing, Sergeant Duarte.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to give comment to this committee? Seeing none, Mr. Chair, that closes public comment.
Thank you, speakers. Okay, committee members, I'd like to recommend that items 1 through 4, 5 through 7, 9, 19, 13 through 17, 19 through 22 and 24 for consent unless there are any objections. Seeing no objections, items 1 and 2, approve the CAO's recommendation and request the city attorney to prepare and present the necessary ordinance to effectuate these fee increases. Items 3 and 6, note and file the report. Items 4, adopt the motion with amendments at the end of the first moving clause to add the following: and grant opportunities. Item 7, approve the payment of the reward. Items 8 and 9, approve the acceptance of the donations. Items 13 through 16 and 20, approve the CAO's recommendations. Item 17, approve the city attorney's recommendations. Item 21, approve the expenditure program as outlined in the report. And items 22 and 24, adopt the motions. For item 19, we are going to adopt the CAO report. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on those items?
Mr. Chair, could, I just want to make, I think you mentioned one of the ones I was going to call.
Sure.
I'll make sure we call special 5, 8, 10 through 10.
Oh, 5 and 8?
5 and 8, yes.
Okay.
10, 11, 12, 18, 25, and 26.
Okay, I will get those. So, Madam Clerk, can you please pull 5 and 8 out? And then we will go over the ones that Councilmember Soto Martinez has requested.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye?
Councilmember Price absent, Councilmember McCosker,
Yes.
Councilmember Soto Martinez,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
4 ayes, the items are approved as instructed by the chair.
All right, Councilmember Soto Martinez has requested items 5 and 8, 10 through 12, 18, and 25 and 26 be called for special comments, questions, and separate votes.
Yep.
Any comments on the items? Which
some brief-
item would you like to take up?
Some brief comments, Mr. Chair. if I
Sure,
may.
please.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for giving an opportunity to speak on these items. I just want to speak on, particularly on the license plate readers and some of the reporting that we've heard. Some of the reports that have come out is that some of that data has been used by federal agents to aid in immigration enforcement actions, like the ones we've been seeing across our city. I think we're still trying to suss through those details and understand how they're being used, and we are working with the department to understand it fully, although I don't feel comfortable in this moment to support this. And I think this should be extremely concerning for all of us, especially as we have seen firsthand how willing the Trump administration is willing to break the law, which is in unprecedented terms, to enact his agenda. And so given that all the information is still not there for me, I will be voting no on these items. I'm voting no on other items, but I won't make comments, but these are the two that are the most alarming for me. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Soto Martinez. Madam Clerk, can we please call the roll on those items?
Councilmember Lee,
Aye?
Councilmember Price absent, Councilmember McCosker,
Yes.
Councilmember Soto Martinez,
No.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
3 ayes, 1 no. These items are approved.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, can you please read item number 23 into the record? And if we can have Commander Mastic to the podium to present on this item?
Item 23 is a Board of Police Commissioners report and Joint Office of Finance and Department of Cannabis Regulation report relative to unauthorized cannabis activity.
Thank you, Commander Mastic. If you want to give us a brief outlay of the report, and then we can follow up with the different
I
questions.
certainly can. With regard to cannabis enforcement, we have some updated information and some updated numbers.
Commander, can you speak directly into the microphone? Sorry.
I sure can. There we go. So with regard to this was a 2022 report, but I'd like to read into the record our 2025 efforts year to date, and I have additional. Excuse me, sir. Okay. With regard to Los Angeles Police Department's efforts for 2025, cannabis activity. During our activities, we have conducted 9 investigations. Currency seized is $199,993. Cannabis seized 52,920 pounds. We've served 239 search warrants. We have made 119 arrests. That includes 24 felonies and 95 misdemeanors. With regard to utility locations, 53 have been serviced and disabled. We have 87 that are pending. Padlock and board up operations, there are 3, 2 completed, 1 that's pending. Cease and desist letters, we have sent 88, and there are currently 50 unlicensed cannabis dispensaries that are operating within the city right now. I have additional information on 2024 through 2021 if you're interested.
All right. Thank you, Madam Messick. I know that some of the data in this report is a little older, but just if you can answer a few questions for the committee. Yeah, I think, personally, I think that the black market is surging because we don't have enough enforcement, obviously, and also the ones who are regulating, operating legally are 40, 50% higher than the illegal market, which is obviously spreading some of this activity. Now, we've done the board up, I don't know what the official is, but it seems like, at least in my district, there's been a couple cases, we board them up, a few days later, they have a generator on top of the roof and they're operating again. I mean, can you explain to me how that's possible that they can keep continuing?
Councilmember, your assessment is entirely accurate. I can tell you, when I was a captain at Harbor area, I can think of several operations that we shut down on Friday. We seized generators, shut down the water, shut down the power, made arrests. These are done as citations. Seized tons of, not tons, is not accurate, a very, very large quantity of cannabis. Those were all taken underway. Those were sent for prosecution. There's very little prosecution that was accomplished by those citations because it seems there was not a large appetite at the time to pursue criminal prosecution for these cases. So with regard to that, how does that happen? We have a budget of about $5 million. All of these operations are completed on an overtime basis. They're not completed by regular on-duty folks. We will generate a task force. Those task forces are completed by the narcotics officers in each of the 21 different police stations, and it is not nearly as impactful as we want and need it to be. So your conclusions, your cursory assessments are entirely accurate.
Are they just moved? So if we're hitting them on Friday, that task force is just focusing on something else, or are we?
So what would by and large happen is we would calendar a task force operation, for example, in Harbor area with Harbor area narcotics, with the coordination and assistance of Gang and Narcotics Division. I have Detective Boyles here as well, that oversees the cannabis operations for the department at large. But we would do an operation in Harbor with Harbor area narcotics, and then the next operation would be in Southeast area narcotics, and the next operation would be in 77th area narcotics. It's rotated around the city. So how do they operate? Those operations are hugely profitable. The unlicensed operations are hugely profitable. By and large, they will come in, pay the citation, a ticket, a white ticket as opposed to a regular ticket. It's a misdemeanor citation, and the penalties are not effective in curtailing the operations. So they'll bring in new generators on Monday. They'll come up, open up business again because the enforcement aspect isn't.
So are there any things that you can identify that would be possible deterrents of us? I mean,
Well, a number of things. I think a higher appetite by the city attorney to prosecute narcotics-related offenses is item number one. A more significant budget to conduct narcotics-related operations, including cannabis enforcement. Right now, it's a $5 million budget from the city. It's all done on an overtime basis. And with the limited resources of the department and the deployment of the department, cannabis doesn't get the attention that it requires to make a meaningful impact.
So when we seize those funds, do those funds go back to fund that program, or those funds just go?
They don't go back to fund those programs, no. They go into ultimately, when they are ultimately forfeited, it's through a judicial process, and I believe it ends up in the general fund. And the department is funded by just what's allocated by the city council.
Okay, do you have any idea, like, just for example, last year, how much seized funds would be for the year 2024 from illegal operations?
I can check with Detective Boyle and see if he has that figure for you. But as far as seized funds that go back to fund narcotics operations,
No, just total seized funds, so I can get an idea of what's going back to general fund, what's going, how much are we looking?
check with Mike and see if he has that figure.
Councilmember, on page 2 of the police commission report, this is for 2021.
Right.
2.1 million.
Detective Boyles is indicating that typically it's about $500,000 a year. Last year there was a significant seizure that was over $1 million. But looking at 2025 year to date, it is $199,000
Okay.
that's seized.
Uh-huh.
Now again, the seizures don't go back to the police department. LA doesn't operate that way.
Uh-huh.
Other cities are funded in a certain way. I'm involved with the LA Impact Task Force, and other cities in the region, it goes back to enforcement activities, but it's kind of a safeguard the way that the city of Los Angeles runs those seizures. The seizures go to the city council and the general fund, and the police department's funded through the general fund on only what's allocated to us.
Okay, I have a few more questions, but want to open it up to the council members. Yeah, Councilman Park.
If you're funded at 5 million now for these operations and task forces, do you know what you were funded at in 2021?
I can check for 2021. I believe it's been $5 million for the last several years, and it's all done on an overtime basis.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Colleagues, any other questions? Councilor Summerlin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. How did we identify the retail businesses and the grow, where they grow? Like how do we? It sounds like it was just complaint generated.
By and large, it's public complaints, and then they're vetted to see if there's evidence to substantiate an investigation, and then the investigators go forth and conduct an operation.
Okay, so potentially there's probably more.
Potentially, there's
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
more.
there must be more. There's no way we got
It's-
100% of the
50 is substantiated, so I can give you 50 as a real number that we've checked on and that are out there and they need to be worked. But certainly, it would not surprise me if there were more
Yeah.
that were out.
Okay, and then this issue comes up quite a bit, in my district, and I'm sure every other district. Have you looked at going involving the landlord? Because it's like where are you finding, it's like there's multiple, for that to exist, there's so many players that allow that to exist.
There are civil measures the department uses in cooperation with the city attorney's office to abate those places. I will tell you that our narcotics abatement unit that was more robustly staffed, I believe we don't have the personnel to support that portion of abatements. I don't believe we have anybody working abatements right now. I could check with you know what? Let me just introduce Detective Boyles.
Sure.
It's Detective Mike
He can
Boyles.
speak for himself.
It's my boss. I don't want to step on his toes. It makes me nervous. Hey, so with the landlord, I'm Detective Boyles from Cannabis Support Unit. The problem we have with the landlords is a lot of the places are owned by LLCs, and so our narcotics investigators, there are way more than 50 on here. 50 is the number of retail stores, like brick and mortar places we've identified, but our investigators are always going out, and there's grows, there's also smoke shops who are selling now that we're investigating. But to identify the landlords and to get them, I guess us working with them takes a little bit of time, but we do use that resource, and by the time we get to that, we will refer that to the city attorney, and they do help us out with that, and they'll start the eviction process. My issue with that is by the time they get to the landlords start cooperating. The illegal place is already looking for a secondary location. They'll throw 6 months rent cash at another location, and they'll leave, and then the landlord will sit there, and that's when they'll get their fines or their whatever with the city attorney.
Have we, sorry,
No, no, go ahead, please.
Have we ever used, I know with water, we can have a leak and, without the owner knowing that there's a large leakage. But electricity, I feel like that's a huge sign, if that goes off for illegal activities. Do you work with DWP to identify that?
Yes, sir. We
Please.
okay. We work with the DWP. The mayor set up a cannabis task force a long time ago with us, Department of Water Power, Department of Building and Safety, City Attorney's Office, Department of Cannabis Regulation. So at every single search warrant, and we average around 350 a year on almost every single search warrant, we have Building and Safety coming out, citing the places, LA Fire citing the locations, DWP will come out and they'll cut off the utilities, and then us and so we have a partnership, and they're out there on almost every single search warrant. What you said earlier about the places opening up again, they get generators, and these places they know people who will take off the board ups and can either reconnect the electricity, which is insane because it's a lot of it freaks me out just to get around that stuff, but they are all connected, and so we'll shut off power. We'll go to the same location and they'll hotwire the location to get power, or they'll steal it from the neighbor, and then we'll shut it off again and go through our process. And like the commander said, the ultimate problem we have is we'll go arrest, take everything, clear the place out, but those guys are getting out of jail with a fine within like 4 to 8 hours, and they open back up.
So since the task force is moving on to a different place or different division, is there anything keeping that division, for example, my district, Devonshire Division, from then following up the next day?
They do. With the enforcement effort, like I said, it does bounce around, but that's where they come back to me and I ask them for the follow-ups on, hey, is this place opened up? And they'll go back. Sometimes they can go back quick, and they'll be there like a few days later and say, hey, it's opened up again. And if it's a padlock, they can just go in and they can, cause they're trespassing now, they can go in and take all the stuff, or they'll have to write another search warrant. So what we do a lot of times is we keep pressure on these locations, and then by the time that they know that they're going to keep getting a search warrant or their stuff's going to get taken, it's whack-a-mole. They'll up and leave and go to a different one, and then we're rotating over there. Yeah, it's very lucrative. They're making. I talk at the Cannabis Commission all the time, and the owners are upset, and the illegal places are making a lot of money because they'll hit their spots, and then once they know that we're on them, they'll pick up, and they've already leased out another place for 6 months, and then when that place starts, that's a fresh investigation we have to start.
So I know that we've looked in different ways when we, all the like the weed maps that have legal and illegal activities. Is there any way to come down? I've asked this question before, but like to really kind of get on them. I mean, they're still, advertising illegal delivery operations, legal,
As far as advertising, I'm not sure. I know this is just happening last week. The Department of Cannabis Regulation is looking into, one of the legal owners is creating an algorithm that looks up all the Google generated hits for all the illegal places. Well, all the places, Department of Cannabis Regulation is going to vet them to see who's legal and who's not legal. And I'm scared, but they're going to send us a whopping list of a bunch of places, and then we'll have to start hammering those places. So I'm waiting for that list to come out, but all this stuff was last week. But that's one thing they're developing, and Department of Cannabis Regulation, they're really trying to help us out with identifying more of the places. And then that's not the main issue. The main issue is our funding and the resources we have for our narcotics guys to get out there, because we don't have cannabis people. These are narcotics detectives, so sometimes they're investigating cocaine, fentanyl. They're helping out detectives with surveillances, so they're multitasking. So they're a lot, really busy, I guess.
All right. Well, colleagues, we're going to move to note and file this report. Thank you. I appreciate you being here today. I think the biggest thing to cut down on the black market, we charge the cannabis operation, which is a legal operation now in the city of LA. Obviously, if you're permitted to, take a look at the fee structure and the tax structure of them to make them more competitive so that, the illicit black market does not get. Commander, you want to say something?
Oh, just final comments. I think your assessment is absolutely accurate. And the way that legal cannabis had been rolled out in California, it kind of left the police department and the enforcement behind the 8 ball. It
Right.
left us behind the curve to catch up with what's illegal, what's legal, and take appropriate enforcement action to stay on top of it. So it's something we continue to focus on, but with limited resources, limited personnel resources in the police department, and then just the budget, like Mike had said, by and large, they're working cocaine operations, fentanyl operations, other surveillances. We often will overlay our narcotics detectives and vice officers to work burglaries and other operations where we need plainclothes officers, and it doesn't get the attention that it merits.
Well, we're not collecting the 40 or 50% that we're charging them now. So 20% of, something is better than 40% of nothing. So hopefully we can take a look at the fee structure and move on with that. Councilmember? No. All right, thank you. Thank you, Commander. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right. So I would like to concur with the actions taken by the Government Operations Committee and include an additional instruction to have DCR provide updated reports on enforcement actions and estimated revenue loss associated with unauthorized cannabis activity. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on this?
Councilmember Lee,
Aye?
Councilmember Price absent, Councilmember McCosker,
Yes.
Councilmember Soto Martinez,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
4 ayes, this item is approved.
All right. Are there any other items to consider?
The desk is clear.
Mr.
Oh,
Chair,
yeah,
I
please,
missed the
Mr.
opportunity to raise something on item number 5,
Sure.
which
we
is
can-
also going to Budget and Finance. On item 5, if you could accept the best process for considering that when it comes to Budget and Finance, that we get Bureau-specific deployment plans described in the interim housing site overtime allocation fact sheet, which is dated July 8th, 2025, once those plans are created. In other words, I like to see it broken down by deployment, by Bureau.
All right, Madam Clerk, do we need to reopen that item or can we just add that as an amendment?
We
Without
need
any
to-
objection?
If there's no objection, we can move forward.
Are there any objections to that amendment? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you can note that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Of course, and seeing that there are no other items to consider, this meeting is now adjourned.
It's weird that it gets this delta between how profitable it is to be.
We all had a